Hello and welcome back, beautiful souls. In this video, we are going to cover a lot, including how to shift to optimal timelines, how we can go with the flow, and how our subconscious mind works to bring us useful information from the infinite field. It's some really interesting stuff, and probably this material is new to you. It was fascinating for me when I learned about the things. I'm super excited to share them with you. Have you ever observed how some older folks talk about the good old days? And how they complain about how things are today. And there is also older folks who talk about how hard things were when they were young and how easy we have it today. But let's talk about those people who see the past as better than the future or better than the present. Those who think that things are getting worse today, right? How did those people get that way? How did they get this mindset? How did they come to the conclusion that society is totally deteriorating? Is it true? Is society getting worse and worse and worse with each generation? Here's the thing. I would say no, it's not. Humans have been around a long time. If things really got worse for each generation, society would have collapsed a long time ago and we'd be totally extinct if that were true. The truth as I see it is that society maintains an equilibrium. It's no better or no worse than it was before or will be overall. Sure, we can point to specific horrible events and say that's worse than a more peaceful time, but overall, everything balances out, everything evens out, right? That's balancing forces in play. There's about as much good and as much bad as there was before. It's our perception that makes the difference. We judge it as better or worse than before. What can actually happen to us is we can shift to a more positive or more negative timeline based on how we think and how we feel, right? Continually seeing only the horrible events and being blind to the good in the world will shift you to timelines that are a vibrational match to your current state of mind, which is not good if you're focused on horrible events. Think of it this way. As a child, we're not really aware that life can be better or worse. We just don't have that awareness yet. We just sort of accept things the way they are. But as we grow up, we start to have experiences. We have good experiences and bad experiences that shape how we see the world. We may experience failure or frustration or heartbreak as we're growing up and begin to see that all the dreams that we had in childhood we may not be able to accomplish. As a child, we may become discontent and we may start complaining even. Well, if you've been watching my videos, you know what that leads to, right? Complaining radiates negative energy, right? And that slides you over to less favorable timelines, because that is the vibration of you at the moment. It matches you with the timeline, right? But we have a choice. We always have a choice. An advantage if you're willing to be aware of this dynamic now. Being aware of the tendency to complain and being aware of the consequences of this way of thinking means that we're able to choose different thoughts and think in a different way. Our awareness makes us able to see the world in a different way. The weird thing about our reality is that it only applies to us. Everyone lives in their own little world with their own viewpoint and their own way of projecting thoughts out. We can all be seeing the same exact thing and have different beliefs, different feelings, different vibrations towards the thing we see, right? We are literally all creating our own personal reality while existing together in the same time and space. One person's world may be very different from another person's, even if they live really close by. Let's shift gears here and talk about wealth and how we can move into timelines where we have the level of wealth that we desire. Here's the deal. If everyone starts out somewhere in the world, right? We start out in a specific culture, a specific place and time. We're born to specific parents in a specific point in the infinite field, right? You tend to move along with that timeline and develop a frequency or vibration that keeps you more or less on the same timeline, unless you do something to change that frequency. Here's what happens. A person that's born in poverty attunes to the frequency of poverty unless they can start to see the world differently and understand how the universe works. Here's the kicker. If you look down on your own poor circumstances, or if you're jealous of those that have more than you, or if you continually wish that you had more wealth, you're making it less likely to get what you desire. But those strong emotions of hate, envy, and strong desire for more will call you to timelines that actually have that thing. Strong emotions are like magnets that bring you more things that are a vibrational match to that emotion, right? It's weird to think about. But hate is a magnet to timelines where there are more things to hate, because hate is such a strong emotion. Just like gratitude and love are strong emotions that are magnets to timelines where there's more things to love and be thankful for. It's hard to believe that it's that simple, but you've probably experienced it for yourself, right? So how does someone who's born into a poor circumstance change his circumstances, right? How does he change his fate, so to say? What he does is he embodies the mindset of the more affluent person that he wants to be. But how do we do that, right? By becoming comfortable with the environment of the person you want to embody. This is one of the most tricky things to do when it comes to manifesting work. But you have to become comfortable with the things that the person you want to be, your ideal self, would be comfortable with. The truth is, a poor person might be very uncomfortable and feel out of place at an exclusive country club, right? What does their discomfort cause? If they're uncomfortable, it will not allow for the embodiment of that lifestyle. If you are uncomfortable with thinking about having the things that you want, you're not going to be able to manifest them. You have to be able to imagine yourself as the person you want to be and feel comfortable doing the things you want to do. You have to feel comfortable doing the things that your ideal self would do. I know this may sound funny, but there was a time when I was uncomfortable going into the Coach store. You know those nice purses? I used to really be into those things. I used to really like them. But here's the deal. The ideal version of me, the person I want to be, would be totally comfortable going into the Coach store and buying whatever she wants, or just looking around and deciding that I didn't see anything that I liked and I didn't want to buy anything and leave. My ideal self would be totally comfortable with that. The ideal version of me would have no problem taking flying lessons and learning to fly a Cessna like a badass, right? This is one of my bucket list items, right? But the current me is a little afraid and thinks it might be expensive to learn to fly and own a plane. So I'm still working on embodying my inner badass, right? Because my inner badass, one day, I mark my words, I will learn to drive or fly a Cessna plane. The ideal version of me would have been intimidated to create and sell an online course like this to help others feel good every day and manifest their desires. But I learned to embody that version by taking the inspired actions to achieve it, and here it is, you're watching it, right? I aligned with my higher self through meditation and was inspired to hire a business coach who could keep me accountable and help me create the course. Why did I hire a business coach? Because that is what the ideal version of myself would have done. So that's what I did, because I want to be that ideal version of myself. Take the actions the ideal version of you would take. Would the ideal version of you order the least expensive item on the menu? Or would the ideal version of you order the item that felt the best, that lit them up when they thought about it? The most yummy, the most juicy item on the menu? You know the answer. That's the gist of embodying the ideal version of yourself. Of course, only you know what and how that version of yourself would behave, right? Your ideal version of yourself is your creation, after all. It's something that you create in your mind. Let's take a moment and talk about the infinite field of possibilities, this matrix that we all exist in, right? This information field has every possible thing that ever could be. What happens is we light up specific timelines in this field by matching with or resonating the frequency of that specific timeline. When we light up a timeline with our energy or frequency, that timeline manifests into reality. Our conscious mind, the one we use to think, does not have access to the information in the infinite field. That's the truth. But our subconscious mind does have access to the information in that infinite field. The subconscious mind can pull a lot of information from the field, which is where our intuition, gut reactions, inspired inventions like Nikola Tesla had, inspired works of art, inspired actions that our higher self feeds us, these all come from the infinite field via our subconscious mind. All the information that we receive via the field come through our subconscious mind, and all that information is pure and good and true, right? The information that comes from our conscious thinking mind is distorted by our programming. It's distorted by limiting beliefs and the false beliefs that we have in our programming. This is why spiritual mentors are always saying you should meditate. Because when you can clear your mind, you make space for this information to come through the field to your subconscious mind. When you receive an idea from the subconscious mind, it's always going to be more in alignment with your higher self than info that comes from your thinking conscious mind. That's the real benefit of meditation, bringing in the good stuff that comes from the subconscious, right? That's where inspired action comes from. Act on those inspired, if you act on those inspired actions, you will be more successful at moving closer to what you desire. Since our logical thinking mind is pure programming, it can only create things with the limited data contained in the mind, right? But the subconscious mind is the true creating mind because it can pull from the unlimited field of possibilities and create something truly new to the human experience. If you know anything about Nikola Tesla, he talked openly about the fact that many of his inventions and creations came from this field. They were inspired by the divine, literally. They flowed to him in the form of pictures. He did not think his way to creating them with his conscious mind. They came to him, they were received. Clairvoyant information also comes through the infinite field of possibilities via the subconscious mind. That's why we're doing the energy work, to learn about how to access this field via our subconscious mind. And particularly the energy work in Module 3, where we cleared our third eye, that exercise is to prepare ourselves to read ourselves and others. And that reading comes through our subconscious mind via the infinite field. We are all capable of accessing the infinite field once we learn how to wield the power of our subconscious mind, right? The infinite field has access to all past, all present, all future events, and that is how psychics can see into these things, right? But remember, those psychics and those clairvoyants may not always be accurate due to their own beliefs and their lenses, right, of how they see the world. They may also be inaccurate if the clairvoyant accesses a part of the infinite field that is not manifested in any reality. But that's a complicated topic that needs its own video, to be honest with you. The psychics or the clairvoyants may have their own distortions that bias or color their readings, right? They have their own lenses. They have their own limiting beliefs. They have all that going on, right? That's why energy clearing and cleaning is so important, as well as doing the inner work and doing the shadow work to give you the best balance and true view of what you see coming through the subconscious. So with that, I'm going to conclude this video and pick it right back up in the next video. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.